AV number 13. Describe in brief the purpose of organizing the half yearly report program of Students' Council. Now, what is the reporting of half yearly Students' Council program? The half yearly report of the Students' Council, an assembly entirely arranged and presented by the students themselves, is held on November 15. Miss Joseph and Denham preside, and the meeting begins with an address by Mr. Florian, the headmaster of the school. Following his lengthy but well received presentation, each class takes a turn reporting through their chosen representative on what they have been studying in each subject so far. Finally, a panel of teachers is chosen for each class to answer any questions pertaining to the reports which have been given. The lowest class begins first, and it is obvious that as the students progress through the rank, there is a marked development in their ability to express themselves. Mr. Braithwaite's class, being the oldest, goes last. Miss Joseph begins the highest class proceedings by explaining that the common theme underlying all their studies and this term is the interdependency of mankind. Potter speaks in the field of math, focusing on how greater understanding in the world is fostered by the use of common weights and measure. Miss Pegg and Jackson speak on geography. Miss Dare and Furman discuss the subject of physiology, with Furman stealing the show by exhibiting a model of human skeleton and stressing the class conclusion that basically all people were the same. Miss Dodd reports on history and Miss Joseph on domestic science. Denham creates a stir by speaking on the required subject of PT and games, complaining that the class was ill-conceived and pointless. Mr. Weston, Mrs. Dale Evans and Miss Phillips are chosen at random to answer student questions arising from the senior presentation. When Denham pursues his inquiry on the necessity of requiring all students to take PT, Mr. Weston responds quite ridiculously, trying to bluster his way out of the subject and offering no coherent argument for the requirement's continuance. Surprisingly, quite Miss Phillips steps in and gives a sturdy defense of the practice, and Denham, knowing that he has been outwitted, has no choice but to respectfully cease his heated protest. In this way, reporting of the half yearly program is. Now we turn to next. Describe the question answer session that took place at the end of the extract. Describe the question answer session that took place at the end of the extract. Mr. Weston, Miss Dale Evans and Miss Phillips are chosen at random to answer student question arising from the senior presentation. When Denham pursues his inquiry on the necessity of requiring all students to take PT, Mr. Weston responds quite ridiculously, trying to bluster his way out of the subject and offering no coherent argument for the requirement's continuance. Surprisingly, quite Miss Phillips steps in and gives a sturdy defense of the practice, and Denham, knowing that he has been outwitted, has no choice but to respectfully cease his heated protest. Next, describe the discussion that took place between Miss Joseph and Denham. Describe the discussion that took place between Miss Joseph and Denham. Miss Joseph आणि डेनहॅम मध्ये काय डिस्कशन त्या ठिकाणी घडलं त्याबद्दल थोडक्यात आपल्याला सांगायचं आहे. Miss Joseph begins the highest class proceedings by explaining that the common theme underlying all their students that term is the interdependency of mankind. Both are the students of the narrator. Both imbibe the lessons taught by the narrator in their own unique way. Miss Joseph realized the worth of virtues like equality and brotherhood. She said that their lessons had a particular bias towards the brotherhood of mankind, and that they had been learning through each subject how all mankind was interdependent despite geographical location and differences in color, races and creeds. She again reiterated the fact that all men are equal and divide based on the color of the skin is created by a man. Denham, also student of the narrator like Miss Joseph, is polite and courteous, who initially lacks respect for the narrator. In chapter number 17, he is seen to be embracing the lessons taught by Mr. Braithwaite. He addresses the girls by using the prefix Miss, which is the reflection of the courtesy towards them. Denham, his student, used the term Miss in addressing each of the senior girls. Thus, both Joseph and Denham live by what their teacher taught them. Now we turn to setting part. जे नैपथ्य आहे याच्यातलं जे वातावरण निर्मिती आहे त्याबद्दलची ॲक्टिव्हिटी इथे आलेली आहे. A3. Which event took place in the extract? Choose the correct one. Give reason to support your answer. Which event took place in the extract? कोणती घटना ह्या उत्तरामध्ये घडली आहे? चूज द करेक्ट वन, त्यातली करेक्ट घटना निवडायची आहे अँड गिव्ह रिझन्स इन टू सपोर्ट युअर आन्सर. ॲन्युअल स्पोर्ट्स डे ऑन नोव्हेंबर 15 ही घटना आहे. ॲन्युअल सोशल अँड कल्चरल गॅदरिंग ऑन नोव्हेंबर 15, तर एक वार्षिक असं सामाजिक आणि सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम नोव्हेंबर 15ला घडला होता. सी. हाफ इयरली रिपोर्ट ऑफ स्टुडंट्स काउन्सिल ऑन नोव्हेंबर 15 अँड फेअरवेल प्रोग्राम ऑन नोव्हेंबर 15. 15 नोव्हेंबरला निरोप समारंभ होता. तर यातल्या 4 घटनांपैकी ही जी घटना आहे, हाफ इयरली रिपोर्ट ऑफ द स्टुडंट काउन्सिल ऑन नोव्हेंबर 15. The half yearly report of the student council was on November 15th, which was one of the important days in the calendar of Green Slate School. तर सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचा तो समारंभ आहे आपल्या ह्या ग्रीन स्लेट स्कूलच्या, म्हणून या ठिकाणी ही घटना जी आहे सी ही या ठिकाणी घडलेली आहे. नंबर 2. The event in this extract was held at the dash. Choose the correct alternative. Give reasons in support of your answer. The event in the extract was held at the. ही जी घटना आहे ही कोणत्या ठिकाणी घडली? ऑथर्स हाऊस, ऑडिटोरियम ऑफ द स्कूल, मार्केट गार्डन. हा जो समारंभ आहे तो कोणत्या ठिकाणी घडला? लेखकाच्या घरी घडला का? किंवा स्कूलचे जे ऑडिटोरियम आहे, म्हणजे जो आपला हॉल आहे विशिष्ट असा ऑडिटोरियम जो आहे, प्रेक्षागृह जे आहे त्या ठिकाणी घडलेलं आहे, किंवा मार्केटमध्ये आहे, गार्डनमध्ये आहे. ऑडिटोरियम ऑफ द स्कूल. The bell rang at 10 a.m. and everyone trooped into the auditorium to sit together in classes. तर ऑडिटोरियम जे आहे त्या शाळेचं जे प्रेक्षागृह आहे त्या ऑडिटोरियममध्ये हा सगळा विशिष्ट कार्यक्रम जो आहे तो राबवला गेलेला आहे. The incident in the extract occurred at the particular place. Explain the significance of that place in your own words. तर जे प्रसंग ह्या ठिकाणी उत्तरामध्ये मांडले गेलेले आहेत ते एका विशिष्ट जागी आहे. एक्सप्लेन द सिग्निफिकन्स ऑफ दॅट प्लेस इन युअर ओन वर्ड्स. तर त्या विशिष्ट अशा जागेचं महत्त्व तुमच्या शब्दात तुम्हाला मांडायचं आहे. द इन्सिडेंट ऑकर्ड इन द ऑडिटोरियम ऑफ द स्कूल. द प्रिपरेशन स्टार्टेड डेज ॲगो. स्टेजिंग एनी शो ऑन ॲन ऑडिटोरियम हेल्ड ग्रेट सिग्निफिकन्स टू द स्टुडंट्स. द प्रिपरेशन स्टार्टेड वेल इन ॲडव्हान्स. Student considered it great honor to be on the dais in the auditorium, so they planned it all well. There were whispered conferences with members of their classes in the arrangement of it. On that day there was no assembly. The children arrived smartly dressed and polished, and Miss Joseph and Denham, who seemed to be the important officials for the occasion, moved about among their colleagues, ensuring that each one was ready to play his or her part. A bell was rung at 10 a.m. and everyone trooped into the auditorium to sit together in classes. Miss Joseph and Denham, the two most senior students, sat on the stage, one on each side of Mr. Florian, who, as soon as everyone was seated and silent, stood and addressed the school. He spoke at length, reiterating the aims and policy of the school and of the important contribution each child could make to the furtherance of those aims. Now next, explain how the setting of the extract contributes to the theme of the novel. Okay, now we turn to AV number 14.